What's up, Packers fans? Aaron Nagler here, ready to talk some Green Bay Packers football after the Packers win over the Bengals. And yeah, they did win. I don't know if you're aware of that because if you're reading stuff online, you probably get a different impression. But yes, 27-18 over the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Flacco on a short turnaround looked decent in the second half, no doubt about it. Packers really, unfortunately, unable to get off the field there in the second half, which on defense, which essentially made it a game. But with that said, this was not a game where it ever felt like the Packers were not in control of the contest. From the opening kick to essentially the third down play incomplete to Golden, which was probably the one moment of, okay, this thing could tilt here. But outside of that, this is a game the Packers took control of early. Yes, it's very unfortunate to have that interception on the opening drive, taking points off the board there. But even after that, perfect complementary football. Defense gets off the field a 3-and-out. In fact, the defense completely shut down the Bengals in the first half. Offense would have liked to have had more points on the board there going into half, obviously. But even with the defense letting a few scores happen in the second half, there was never a moment where the offense wasn't in control and able to march down the field and get the points necessary, either a touchdown or a field goal. I get that people are disappointed that the Packers didn't blow out the Bengals. And I understand that people get upset about the style and or approach that LaFleur and the Packers sometimes take. But, man, I don't want to say you're not understanding things because whatever you feel and however you want to frame it, it's up to you. But it does feel like people, fans in particular, in my feed and on the chat, don't appreciate how good things are on this team. And I get there are frustrations and I get there are mistakes happening and there are plays being made by the opponent. And all of that is frustrating and you don't like to see it. But man, Tucker Kraft has a great touchdown in that game. And people are instantly, doom and gloom about the defense coming out, or Josh Jacobs has a hell of a time, a great afternoon running the football all over the Bengals and a great performance up front from the offensive line. Yet another configuration of which was thrown out there. And all of the attention and all of the kind of vocalization is about whatever went wrong. I understand it. I understand it's the world we live in, and I understand I'm an old man. But, man, that is a game that the Green Bay Packers controlled throughout. There was little to no doubt that they were going to win that game. And I feel, I don't know, somewhat upset that fans can't understand that or see that. Now, look, that's a team they should control, right? I'm not saying that's like some miracle. I'm not saying that's some amazing, this amazing development that's unexpected. But that's a game that they did control, and that's a game they should have controlled. So I get the expectation in some quarters was they're going to blow people out. But that's why I said all week long, I don't care what the style points are. I don't care what the final score is. I don't care if they're beating them by 40, if they're beating them by 3. Get the W, and they got that. I mean, some other positives, too, is Matthew Golden being a major component for the offense today. Still eluded on his first NFL touchdown, but excellent to see him used both in the passing and in the running game. Over 100 total yards from scrimmage today. It's the first time he's done that in the NFL. And yes, 100% time to get him into the end zone. But, man, that's an exciting kind of component, especially with the hanging out possibility of Christian Watson returning next week. That could be a lot of fun to watch. So I do understand that there are going to be plenty of negatives and plenty of complaints, which I totally get. But I wanted to highlight some positives first before I dove into a bunch of people talking whatever they need to talk about. Let's see what we got here. Brody starting us off. What's up, Brody? Tucker Kraft should be getting way more targets. There you go. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Now, one of the reasons Tucker wasn't out in a lot of routes is because they were going up against Trey Hendrickson. And if you missed the game that they played, they being the Bengals, against the Detroit Lions, Hendrickson almost wrecked that game single-handedly. Created 2 sacks and 1 turnover that produced points for the Bengals. That didn't happen. Did you see Trey Hendrickson sniff Jordan Love for the most part all day? I know the Bengals got a sack there at the end, but they had a really good plan for Hendrickson, and part of that was involving Tucker Kraft. again, I understand people are going to be, well, okay, Matthew Golden had a big game, but that meant Tucker Kraft didn't have a game. But he did. He scored a touchdown, and he was instrumental in keeping Jordan Love upright. I know that's not great for your fantasy team, although the touchdown is nice. But, it's dependent on what the opponent is, what kind of defense they play, what their coverages are, and what they think, the staff thinks, as far as the best way to attack it. You saw them being the Bengals, use a ton of cover two, lots of too high shell stuff. I did think the possibility was there that they could probably attack with Tucker Kraft down the seam if they wanted to. But again, I do think they wanted to keep Tucker and Musgrave, Brooks, the running backs, etc., available to block them up front. And I think it worked. Jordan Love had a lot of time in this game for much of the afternoon. That's a win. It's a good thing. Tommy, what's going on, man? Love balled out in the second half. Elite QB play. I agree, man. I think he had a decent first half. I can't wait to go back and watch it and see, where things may have been available, etc. I know he really seemed to be fixated on Dobbs, and those were not producing many results for them. But I agree. I think in the second half, they really turned it on. And, I know, again, there will be the pushback. Well, the Bengals defense has been terrible, and he should do that. And you're right. Yes, he should. But that's all you can do in that scenario is do what's expected. Play at the high level that you should be playing at against that defense. And that's exactly what Jordan did, the line did, Josh Jacobs did. Exciting stuff. Joey, what's going on, man? Thanks for the super chat. By the way, I'm looking at Twitter right now. I would have thought we lost this game. My God, can we just enjoy a fucking win where we still won by 2 scores? My God. I couldn't agree more, man. I know it's going to be a sea of complaints all week long, and during the game. That's what it is. That's how people fan. And hey, man, Godspeed. I'm going to be over here enjoying a 2-score victory where, again, it was never in doubt. The Packers had control of that game. FMCH, how you doing? D again showing how important Wyatt is. Yes, especially no more so was that evident than in that 10-minute drive that the Bengals put together coming out of halftime. They really started to work the middle in the running game, and Wyatt's his absence was certainly noted, right? And that's not a complete dig on, the guys without Brooks, Wooden, Stackhouse, etc., but they were certainly missing him. And I thought the Bengals did a good job of being patient in that regard, like continuing to work between the tackles and utilize their kind of multifaceted run game. Wyatt's absence was certainly noted. Absolutely. Joey, thanks again, man. Much better run blocking today. There we go. Particularly on the right side. They had something cooking with Jordan Morgan and Zach Tom in that game. There were a number of runs that Jacobs had off, the hip of the guard, so to speak, where, they were producing 5, 6, 8 yards, and that was exciting to see. That was fun. And look, I know, again, there are quarters of the internet that talk about they got to throw it 50 times or whatever, but, man, the Bengals were playing 2 high safeties the majority of the time. Against that look, you have to run the ball. And the Packers did so. And to your point, the run blocking really improved as the game went on, kind of like down in Dallas. Hopefully they can come out of the gate a little faster next week in Arizona. Hopefully it's the same crew, all 5 guys playing again together. But yeah, man, as the game wore on, I thought they really started to kind of grind down the front of the Bengals. There were times the Bengals made plays or stopped them, etc. But on balance, that was what you wanted to see. Now, again, the caveat will be, they've been a terrible run defense, so the Packers should do that. Well, yes, the Packers should have done it, and they did it. Ed, what's up, man? I've said this before. It's a very good thing when Larry McCarron is a happy camper. It truly is. It really is. And I think Larry was probably enjoying some of the battles going on in the trenches there. The Short Diabetic, thank you so much for becoming a Carry the G Club member. Appreciate the support. Is it Mario? Thank you, sir. I would like to see us throw the ball more and utilize receivers like Golden and Wicks. Maybe with Watson back soon, that will open it up more. Well, Mario, like I said, some of that is dependent on the defense and what they're presenting to you. And there are times when you're going to have an opportunity to, hit Golden up the sideline for that big shot, a 35-yarder. Was a gorgeous ball from Love after he probably threw his worst ball of the day when he missed Musgrave in the middle there. But it's the idea is great, but it's also dependent on what the defense is offering and providing places to attack. I don't mind running the ball and keeping it ahead of the sticks and trying to put yourself in easier conversions, as far as 3rd and short rather than 3rd and 9, because maybe you went incomplete on 2nd down. But, I think it's going to be a week-to-week thing, and the Watson thing is exciting because he does change the kind of facet of the offense as far as what we're talking about regarding defenses and how they have to play the Packers. I think you're going to continue to see a lot of too high shell, no matter who they play and no matter who's at receiver. They're going to continue to have to run the ball. And I know it's not exciting, but I would get ready for that. Colin, what's up? I wish we would throw the ball down deep more. Ball down deep more. Again, when you're getting a ton of too high looks, it's easier said than done, man. It's not that there's no way to attack them, but it's also, you're trying to help your quarterback get the ball out of his hands quick against a guy like Hendrickson who can completely wreck shop. And that was clearly the game plan today. Like, I was actually pleased that they were doing a lot of short game stuff. Now, it's frustrating when you throw a pick, right? And then you have a 3rd down that you get off the field. In fact, today, more than any game so far this year, they really struggled on 3rd down. That's the first time that's really happened on offense. They've been literally historically good on 3rd down through the first 4 games. And today, I don't remember what it was. What were they? They were 5 of 11, 45%. I mean, that's way off their normal clip so far this season. So I don't mind if you're throwing deep. I don't mind if you're throwing short, but, pick up these 3rd downs. That has to happen. And one of them was a deeper shot, right? That deep over route to Golden when he did a great job of cutting underneath the corner, and Love is off schedule outside the pocket to his left and hits him for a big conversion. I think with time, some of that will come. But again, you got to run him out of it. You got to run him out of that too high shell. Thomas, thank you for the super chat. Reporters tonight so hard on Love, complaining his 2 picks. I thought he played great, especially the second half. We are fine. Go Pack, go. Thomas, I know. I heard Pete's question to Matt regarding I thought Jordan was probably past that kind of interception. And I get the question from Pete, but I also would remind him and others that, Brett wasn't unlike that his 3rd year as a starter. You just go back and watch that season. Sometimes you are a playmaker and you want to make a play, and clearly he's outside the pocket there. You're in field goal range. It's easy, and it is very true. Just throw it away. It's easy to say that. But Jordan sees a flash. He sees Dobbs there, and he tries to make a play. I can't kill him for that because he also makes plays that convert 3rd downs and end up in touchdowns. And that's the instinct that makes him a really good to great quarterback. And I never want to mute that. I never want to, put a blanket on it. So you're going to have some accident forgiveness there. It's unfortunate. And the biggest issue today was that if they put points up there, even 3, they're off and running, and then they score another touchdown, and they score another touchdown. And then, with the way the defense was playing in the first half, that game's over by halftime, probably, right? So, again, I get it, but it is somewhat in his DNA, and I'm going to live with it, especially on a day where he came back and completely balled out. RCS, what's up, man? Pack controlled the game, didn't beat themselves. That's the other aspect. I'm glad you brought that up. I can't remember one holding call on the offensive line. Pre-snap penalties were non-existent. Nothing's perfect, nothing's totally clean, but for the most part, yeah, the Packers got out of their own way. And when they do that, they're going to win a lot of games because they are very talented and they're a very good football team. That is not going to be the narrative this week, but it is the truth. Joe, thank you for being a Care of the G Club member. Defense has 2 timeouts or 2 turnovers in 5 games. Is it a little late to be thinking it's still early? This offense will really cook if offensive line gets solidified. I'll tell you what, the offense will really cook too if they start getting some turnovers on defense because it gives you more scoring opportunities. And that, again, and Matt kind of alluded to this in his presser, if you can get a turnover there in the first half, again, they probably put the nail in that coffin at halftime, with more opportunities to put more points on the board. It's been a frustration, and I think it'll continue to be. I thought there was promise. There was a promising showing from the secondary at times today, as far as understanding that Flacco and the Bengals wanted to get the ball out quick. And when Halfley was sending pressure, you saw guys starting to make plays on the ball, making plays on the receiver when the ball was arriving, trying to jump some of these routes. Didn't see any of that against the Dallas Cowboys. You saw some of that today against the Bengals. Hopefully that continues. Yes, you're going to get beat at times. I mean, sometimes you got Jamar Chase. You tip your hat, but I think maybe it's not too late to say it's still early, but I do think turnovers tend to come in bunches, and it feels like they're trending in the right direction as far as that goes. But who knows, man? Maybe they end the year with precious few. That's entirely possible as well. Soder, thank you, sir. They held the best wide receiver room in the NFL to 18 without getting a turnover and only one sack. You win 79% of the time when they score 18 or less. 79, is that a factual number, or are you just guesstimating? I think you're right, but yeah, the 18 points, what did Parsons say? Give us 20 points and you'll win the game. Well, that's what happened today. Ian, what's up? LaFleur coach is too nice. We need a coach that wants to win by any means necessary. Ian, you mean like the third down call when he probably should have run it to run clock and make them use their timeouts, but he tried to basically throw the dagger and it went incomplete like that? I tell you, man, NFL coaches, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If they do go for the kill shot and get it, everyone's celebrating. That's what I mean, more aggressive, blah, blah, blah. But if it doesn't work and the Bengals go down and score, and now all of a sudden it's a game, or even worse, they lose that game, then everyone's like, why was he so stupid? Why was he being so aggressive? You should have been more conservative. I get it, man. I understand what you're saying. But they did win the game. And they won the game because of his approach. I can't, it befuddles me. It bewilders me at times. That's all I know. Grant, how you doing? Remember how awesome the 2011 Packers looked in October? Now, look, yes, of course, yes, they were throwing the ball around the yard. I'll never forget one of my favorite stories ever was Ryan Grant talking about the game against Denver. I think Tebow was the starter for Denver that game. And the Packers were absolutely blowing them out at halftime. And McCarthy was like laying into the team because they weren't up by more. And Ryan Grant was like, I told her, I can't remember what a rookie was, but I told a rookie, like, look around because this is not normal. Like, we are just beating the brakes off teams. And for all of that greatness and all the scoring and all the fun, and then going on your way to 16-0, and oh, wait, we're 15-1, and oh, wait, now we're one and done in the playoffs. Yeah, man. I don't care about the style points. I don't care what they look like, being aggressive, being conservative. Just win the game. And they did. They won a game they should have won. On to the next. Sean, how you doing? DBs need to have their heads on a swivel. I understand who the competition was, but you can tell there was a crisis of confidence with technique. A crisis of confidence with technique. I thought they were in really good position for the most part. I mean, sometimes, yeah, you do have to tip your hat. You do know that's like one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver duo in the NFL. They're going to make plays. I don't know, man. The crisis of confidence and technique feels like a stretch. But where I would agree that the defensive backs have to be a little more in tune with what's happening up front. And like I said, there was some evidence of that today. Like knowing, okay, athletes sending big pressure. That means the ball's got to come out. That means you got to play at least flat-footed, if not on the top of your balls of your feet, and get after the ball. Attack the football because it's coming out. The one that was crazy was Valentine up the right sideline when Flacco's literally getting blasted into oblivion, and then somehow Chase makes that third down conversion catch. I mean, again, at some point, you got to tip your cap. That's an incredible play. Now, would I like Valentine to be a little more aggressive there on the football? Yeah. Anticipate that. There's a huge pressure coming. That ball has got to come out. Go get the ball. That's the one area where I agree with you that there needs to be a bit of an adjustment or a bit more of, confidence, to use your term, in the fact that that's your ball. Go get it. Javier, what's up? You can't say anymore that Matt LaFleur isn't at fault. Bengals anified many of our plays. Okay, Javier, I'll twist it around for you. You also can't say that Matt LaFleur's team didn't win the game. I don't understand the complaint here, man. And I sense that maybe you've mistyped here, but Bengals anified many of our plays. I mean, the one thing I will say is Jerry Montgomery is on staff over there, former Packers defensive line coach, and he had his guys prepared for LaFleur's offense because he knows it so well. So maybe that's what you're talking about. But I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. I have a hard time today of all days, like looking at anything LaFleur did in that game and says or indicates it's a problem. He's too this or that. They won the game, man. Todd, thanks for the sticker. Appreciate you. Marshall Duke, how you doing? Thanks for the super chat. If all you do is complain about the Packers, then it may be time to reevaluate why you are a fan in the first place. Aaron Nagler, Jesus. I mean, I don't know. I guess. I'm sure I said that at some point, but complain away. Like I said, I've got great friends, lifelong friends who are that type of fan, right? So I understand. I get it. I know people are sometimes just wired that way, but it ain't for me, man. It ain't for me. Try to enjoy and appreciate some of the great stuff you saw from the Green Bay Packers today. I get there were frustrations. I get there were problems. They won the game. Learn from it. On to the next. Hayden, thank you for the super chat. Under LaFleur, the Packers scored 21 or more in 71 out of 112 games. I really like our chances as long as we hold teams to 21 or less. People need to relax a bit. The other side gets paid millions also. Couldn't agree more, man. Couldn't agree more. And yeah, again, that's why the Cleveland loss is so frustrating. And that game, I completely understand people being pissed at LaFleur. After the Cleveland game, 1,000,000%. Open season, get after it. I get it. After this game? Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand it. And to your point, yeah, as long as you're scoring 3 touchdowns plus a game, with this defense, you're probably going to win most of those games. I'm fine with it. Big Al, how you doing? I'm not going to say our defense is bad, but the lack of turnovers is concerning, and our second half defense can't close out games. Yeah, the second half was certainly frustrating, and no more so than that opening drive, that 10-minute drive. And that was great work by the Bengals, no doubt about it. But you would have liked to have gotten off the field at some point in I think it was a 17-play drive for 10-plus minutes. I mean, that's a lot of efficiency and production from the Bengals offense. And again, they get paid too, but man, at some point, you can't get off the field? Yeah, that frustration is real. And it is something they're going to have to look at and talk about, because I do think Hafley had started to adjust kind of towards the top of the fourth quarter, where he did start bringing big pressure. Now, Bengals did a nice job of blocking it up for the most part, and Flacco was very smart with where he went with the ball. That's sometimes that's going to happen. But yeah, it is certainly going to be a continued point of emphasis, and teams are going to completely kind of use that playbook. We're going to run, keep the ball ahead of the sticks, and try and hit a lot of short stuff, quick game stuff, and use these long drives to hopefully, on their end, produce points. And it's incumbent upon Hafley to figure out, okay, do we need to maybe send some more pressure earlier? Maybe we try to get the guys off their spot, the quarterbacks off their spot on early downs, rather than waiting for, now they're starting to get in a rhythm. Now we have to throw a counterpunch. It's all stuff they'll be talking about. I have little doubt. Short Diabetic, thank you for the super chat. People realize that even Lombardi didn't blow teams out every week, right? It's a tough league, and there is so much good to this team. Cheers, Nags. I hear you, man. Now, it doesn't help when you're a 14.5-point favorite, right? Vegas is telling the world, like, the Packers should beat the brakes off this team. And people see that, and they expect it. And then when it doesn't materialize, all of a sudden, they're a horrible team, the biggest frauds, whatever. And, hey, man, if you truck with that, cool. That's just not where I live, To your point, yes, every game is a battle. Abdul, how are you, man? What's the lowest hanging fruit for us to improve? It's a really good question. I will say one area that was noticeably improved today, for the most part, it wasn't perfect, because nothing ever is, but their tackling was better. That was the lowest hanging fruit from the Dallas game. Off of this game, I'd say, a continuation from the defensive backs of understanding that when pressure is being called, that ball has to come out. So you will have opportunities. You need to take some chances. Because until that happens, they're going to continue to complete 5-yard outs on 3rd and 2, because they know, okay, here comes the pressure. You're going to have the outbreaking route. I get it out timing route-wise, get it out of my hand as a quarterback, and on you go. First down, and you continue on. At some point, these young corners, and some of them aren't so young anymore, they need to make plays on the ball when those pressures are, being dialed up. To me, that seems obvious and easy, but, if it was easy, they'd be doing it, right? But to me, that feels like the one ingredient that is somewhat missing that would start at least creating a few more turnovers. And you did see it again. You saw it a couple times. There was the play where they ran a slant I think it was on the backside, or maybe the front end. And Nixon made a great play on the ball, a great driving. It was a slant. He comes in and the ball ricochets in the air, right? The problem is that McKinney was coming up too, thinking he was going to make the tackle, and then the ball went in the air. And if he's even just a step behind the play, he probably catches that, and that's an interception, right? And that goes on the books, and people are like, oh, well, look, they created a turnover. And sometimes that's the fine line. But that's the type of play that helps create turnovers. Just need more of them. Absolutely. Corey, thank you. MG really kind of showcased himself a bit. Sad no touchdown with him. I'm just happy for the W considering the last 2 weeks of disappointment. Yeah, it's great. Enjoy the victory. And yes, you can see what a really exciting component Matthew Golden adds to the offense and the weapon he can be. And the fact that now this is 2 games in a row, whether it was the 4th and 6th in overtime or that conversion on 3rd down on the deep over route, Love's not afraid to go to Golden with the game on the line, with the need to convert. That's promising, man. And they're just starting, to watch them continue to kind of play together and grow together. That's going to be fun. Joey, what's up, man? I can smell a Micah multi-sack game coming soon. Yeah, I can also smell the bullshit from the officials when they don't throw a single flag when he is continuously, repeatedly held, choked, scratched, clawed, assaulted each and every play, yet never, ever gets a call? Ever. At some point, that's the other component here. You want to talk about the game plan for opponents? Well, they know they can play a quick game and get out because Parsons is never getting these calls. Because if he did, then all of a sudden, instead of 2nd and 5, now it's 2nd and 20. If they called even twice, just 2 calls a game, when he's actually being held at least 10, 15 times on these dropbacks, that has got to be supremely frustrating for Micah Parsons. I can't even fathom it because he is getting assaulted on some of these plays. So yeah, hopefully get a couple sacks, get people excited. But man, he's just destroying the front each and every down in and down out. Now, does it happen every single down? No, but for the most part, especially on passing downs, he is wrecking shop. At some point, he's got to start getting some calls because it is ridiculous. Tulio, what's up? It's out of fashion, but W's make me feel good. Hey, what a thought. What a concept. I like it. Packer Aggie. Hey, Nags, it was great to meet you last night. How about our rented kicker? Special teams did not let us down. Go, Pack, go. I mean, a couple of penalties, right, on special teams today. But for the most part, on balance, really good work from special teams. Couple of returns out to the 40. Had a punt down to the 10. And all the kicks got made. Incredible. All I want is competence, and we got it today. And great to meet you yesterday, man. Thanks for coming out. Really appreciate it. RCS, what's up? Run the damn ball versus chuck it camps. Funny. Kind of. It does kind of fall into that rhythm, right? All the folks that want them to throw it 50 times a game and us old heads who are like, run the fucking ball. FMCH, how are you, man? These quasi slants to Golden will end in a TD soon. Dude has hands and can fly. I did think there was one. I think we're on the same wavelength here. There was one where, yeah, they hit him on the quick hitter slant, and I thought he was about to traverse the entire defense. But, yeah, it's coming. It's certainly coming. No question. S. Kits, what's up? Matt is not a good caller. What is his obsession with end arounds and sideline throws? When we throw downfield, it almost always works. It's weird. Like the fact that you can say he's not a good caller and then talk about results without knowing any of the, components of what went into the calls, including what the defense is doing, is just funny. I will acquiesce on one component, on one part of your chat here. I am sick of the end arounds. I am sick of it. I understand they're trying to keep them honest, trying to make it happen. Hopefully they're seeing something pre-snap that they think they can take advantage of. That is driving me insane. So I'm there with you. They are frustrating, no doubt about it, especially since they rarely ever hit in a way that would seemingly compel a play caller to continue to call them. I mean, poor Bo Melton getting blown up on that one coming out. I think it was at the start of the second half. Oh, baby. That's a rough look. So there, we can find common ground there. The rest of that is somewhat nonsense. Thomas, what's up? Man, you could just see the potential bursting out of Golden. Such sure hands. Brother-in-law got me some Carry the G. Delicious. Oh, thanks for checking it out. I really appreciate it. If only we had some kind of song to mark the occasion.
Well, we carry the G wherever we may be, so creamy and cold, and from the land of the green and gold.
Carry the G beer, the official beer of Cheesehead TV. Love it. Absolutely love it. Chuck, thank you so much. After today, I'm more excited for Golden and Watson. Oh, man, it's going to be so fun. Cannot wait to get the two of them on the field together. That is going to be a lot of fun. Soder, what's up, man? Tackling bad, why are they always hitting high? Hitting high. Oh, you mean as opposed to like taking out a guy's legs? I think for the most part, I thought the tackling was better today than it was against Dallas. But there are moments where, especially when you have the defensive backs coming against these tight ends and these big receivers up high, or even like a running back in space, like I'm with you. Just take out his legs, man. Let's go. Joey, what's up? Breaking, Cardinals have traded for Flacco. Sorry. Tyler already made that joke on the Cheesehead TV Twitter account. Joe, what's up? Kudos to the unknown kicker who iced the game. Yeah, pretty nice to have a guy coming in off the street and essentially like salted away, right? And there was very precious few moments where I thought it looked too big for him, or I was worried about protection. The protection seemed to be really solid across the board. Positive step forward, positive development on special teams in the kicking game. Patrick, how are you, man? Don't look now, but Lions lost tonight puts the Packers in first place in the North, a team that has played poorly since week 2. I mean, I didn't think they played totally poorly in any of these games. I mean, maybe you could talk about the Browns game on offense getting wrecked up front, but they certainly had positive things throughout these last couple games. Yes, some definite, issues in other aspects, but yeah, the fact that, I mean, that's asking the Chiefs to do some work, but yeah, it's all still out in front of them, as Mike McCarthy was fond of saying. And the broader point there is probably, more than fair as far as the Packers haven't come close to playing complete games since that, burst out of the gate those first 2 games. And then now they've kind of been inconsistent. I'll give you that through the last 3 games, but they are right there. It ain't like the division's running away from them. And the conference in general certainly looks wide open. Though I will say, teams like the Buccaneers and the Seahawks, they look good. But the Packers just got to worry about themselves, go 1-0, get past Arizona, keep improving, and hopefully iron some of that out as we go along here. No doubt about it. All right, everybody, I got to get going. Cannot thank you enough for hanging out, talking Packers every single day, Monday through Friday, whether it's Packers Daily, Packer Transplants, or post-game here on the Gut Reactions chat. Really appreciate each and every one of you. Please do me a monster favor and hit like on the video. Subscribe to the channel, and then tell your friends and tell your family. Cheesehead TV. We are devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great night. Go Pack Go.